Hey Danger Noodles, it's Jax. Welcome back to another episode of Jax Makes Something on this channel called Uncannime. I made a corset this time. It's from the year I was born actually, so it's about a 20-year-old pattern. Um, I was very confused at first because for the most part I don't like using patterns. I think that it's a lot more fun for me to freehand when I sew and stuff, so this was a challenge for me because I had to follow instructions, and throughout here you will see parts where I skipped instructions because I frankly didn't want to do that. I promise I can follow instructions, I just don't want to. Um, in this case, I forgot how to read a pattern, to be honest, because I don't like reading patterns, so I had to figure out that the triangles weren't actually dart lines, which I'm so glad I didn't cut out darts. I almost did, and they were actually meant so that I could tell which part was which. Um, so the hardest part was actually piecing the different parts together that I had cut out because I wasn't sure if I was doing it correctly for the first half. There was a point where I sat on the floor for 30 minutes reorganizing it because I was like, oh, that's a thing. Whoops. Um, so I also did this all in the span of like 3 hours because I cut it out the night before and then I just decided I wasn't going to finish it. So then I just sewed and had a few conversations with Oliver in between, but it is what it is. Um, so I moved the camera around a few times. I'm experimenting with different camera angles, but I used an old bed sheet and it's like super soft, so the corset itself is super soft. It's a stylized one. It's not for functionality. Um, and it's way out of my fashion like zone what I usually do. But that's okay because cosplays and stuff. If I wanted to do cottagecore cosplay, I could with it. Um, it's also way too big for me, even though I made the pattern smaller, and that's because I didn't measure. Because you're supposed to measure with patterns, so that's kind of funny. Um, I don't know if you're noticing this, but I'm noticing this now. I bite my lip when I concentrate, and I did that like the whole time. I'm surprised I didn't notice I was doing it. Yeah. So I mostly listen to music, and I listened to one of my favorite YouTube channels near the end because I was just done, didn't want to think about anything, and I was listening to her episode on Disney. She just uploaded it, so I was super excited. Um, yeah, so I was having a lot of problems with my sewing machine. I named it. You could see I got frustrated there. Um, the thread kept breaking and the bobbin kept getting stuck. It was irritating me, and I was almost done with that thread, so I was just trying to get through it and just trying to get it done because I was at this point. I was like, you know what, this project, it's not worth getting stressed out over. Just get it through. So I did have to rewind the bobbin like 6 different times, and yeah, it was not fun. Um, so yeah, at this point, I think I'm connecting the center back to the side. Yeah, the center back to the side. Um, all the pieces had different names. It was pretty interesting. So this corset is supposed to be reminiscent of the Civil War, and the pattern was made in the year I was born, which was about 20 years ago. I'm not going to give you an exact date, yeah. Um, so it's interesting to see because I forget how thin pattern paper is. It's like wax paper but thinner, and it's super noisy. It sounds like a plastic bag, and I've had it sitting out, and my ceiling fan, literally my ceiling fan has been shaking the paper all day last night and yesterday and it literally sounds like someone's moving around in my room. I woke up like a minimum of 7 times, but I was so tired that I was like, no, I'm not gonna fix this right now. Yeah, so you can see the thread broke again, and it took me like 10 minutes to rethread it this time because I didn't have my needle down enough, and so I was struggling to rethread it. Yeah. So there's actually little green leaves on the corset, which will look really nice with my hair, I think. We did my hair. It's supposed to look like moss, like a fairy, or Izuku Midoriya, whichever you prefer to think it is. Yeah. I have a terrible habit. Please don't put that kind of stuff in your guys' mouth. That's a horrible habit I picked up growing up learning it. Also, another good thing to note is you probably should use pins when you're putting two pieces together. I just happen to not care for them. Unfortunately, that's a bad habit. I'm not a sewing teacher. No, never will I ever be a sewing teacher because I have too many bad habits. And like you can see, the bobbin got messed up again. And I'm trying to fix it. And now I'm cleaning it out because it's all dusty down there. And the bobbin got stuck. See, the thread from the top is fine, but the bobbin itself was stuck. You should have heard it. It was going boing. So I had to go through and I had to cut it. Like you can see the amount of tension there is in it. It's awful. So I had to replace that. And I fixed it. You can see the different length now. Yep, pretty much. And then I'm going to do a test stitching. I was taught to do test stitching when I was done. Oh my gosh, I have to clean my foot, my pedal. Look at that. It's so dirty. Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to dust it. But yeah, and you can tell I use this as my test one quite often. And you'll see in a second, it should be the second one down. Oh, this is a handy thing on the side of my sewing machine. It like cuts the thread for me, which is so nice. So it's that, oh, it's actually that top one. That top one, that's what it looks like when I sew, so it looks like it's good. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue my project. Yep, this is what it looks like from the side. This is how fast the sewing machine sews, and it actually does a ton of stitches. And it doesn't look like it. And I used to actually be scared of sewing machines. I preferred hand sewing. I still prefer hand sewing a little bit, but it's not as pretty and it's not as fast. But yeah, this is one of those problems right there. You see me fixing the fabric? Yeah, that's what happens when you don't use pins. You should probably use pins. I have a few issues with sewing. Yeah, pretty much. And then I dropped my thing that holds my pins, and that's like a spicy cactus. Don't step on it, it'll hurt. And then, of course, you know, I'm fixing everything. Move the camera angle again so I have more room. You get to see the back of my shirt. This is going to be the most interesting part of the episode. Wow, the video. At this point, I am pretty much sewing the two different halves together. So I did one side and then I did the other. I was supposed to do a corset back. I decided no, I was not going to do that because one, it was too big already. And two, I was tired of following the pattern. So I kind of changed it at that point. And I was already having to alter it and make it smaller. And it still isn't small enough. I'm going to have to go through and fix it again. But I put the two pieces together so it's all one big thing. And I decided to have the corset in the front instead of the back. I have a corset that's in the back, and like the string is in the back and the other stuff's in the front. So my bobbin ran out, so yeah, so did my thread at the same time. It was quite a coincidence. That almost never happens, and I haven't had to replace it in a couple months, so I was like, oh, okay, that's fun. Check out my Todoroki sticker. It's my favorite panel in the whole manga. Oh, that's my thread that I got. It's 1,200 yards. It's a weight of 30. It's for machine quilting, which I didn't think about. So it's actually the wrong thread, I think. But it worked a lot better than my multi-purpose. And then I redid the bobbin, and that's what it looks like at the end. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching Danger Noodles. Stay safe. Jax out.